Joining us for more on this, South Carolina Congressman Trey Gowdy is chairman of the House Oversight Committee. Congressman, thank you for joining us this morning. The American people are hearing this almost daily, what is coming from these two FBI agents, the exchange of these text messages that appeared to have a very much an anti-Trump bias. What do we need to know at this point?
Well, we need to know a couple of things. Number one, we need to know how the world's premier law enforcement agency managed to lose 5 months worth of text. And what's also troubling is in the text we do have, they're discussing how to avoid text being captured and secured. So what's missing is important, but also what's there is important. It is manifest bias, not just against Trump, but against his kids, against his business interests. There's a text where they hope the Trump hotel fails. That is a level of bias that you rarely see and you never see from law enforcement officers. What's also troubling to me is this text that Johnny Ratcliffe found last night about this secret society. Now, I have no clue what that means because that was not the phraseology I used, but it's the day after the election, and it's the same two people that were discussing a little bit later in the text the damage they had done with the Clinton investigation and how they could, quote, fix it and make it right. That is a level of bias that is stunning among law enforcement officers.
Congressman Ron Johnson, and I know you had a chance to see and hear what just came out of this radio interview with a local radio station. He read off one of the text messages that he says that he has uncovered between the two FBI agents, and we don't have an exact verbatim, but we do know what he read off that he found, and that is Strzok typing, quote, "You and I both know the odds are nothing. If I thought it was likely, I'd be there, no question. I hesitate in part because my gut sense and concern is there's no big there. What does that tell you?
It tells me two things. Number one, actually it tells me three things. Kudos to Senator Johnson for getting this information. Secondarily, it tells me that one of the lead counterintelligence agents in the country doesn't think there's anything there. But Sandra, what really disappoints me the most is he has no interest in participating in an investigation that might clear Donald Trump. His only interest is if there's, quote, something there so he can then fix what he did with the Hillary Clinton email investigation. I don't know a cop that is not equally interested in clearing the innocent as they are getting the bad guys. So for him to only be interested if there's, quote, something there where he can get the president is stunning for an FBI agent to admit.
Can you weigh in on the timing of that tweet that Ron Johnson read off? The text is from May 19th, 2017. This is 2 days, Congressman, after Robert Mueller was appointed special counsel.
Yeah, it's not good, and it's also in that same time period where we're missing 5 months worth of text. So God only knows what else was said. Yeah, that's a really important time period. Sessions has recused himself. Bob Mueller is coming on board. I happen to like him. I respect him. I think he's going to do a good job. But if he's picking guys like Peter Strzok and Lisa Page to be on his team, and they're only interested in being on the team if they can, quote, get the president, they have no interest in clearing him, then he had some hiring failures of epic proportion.
Also, you have talked about the revelation. These text messages show that these agents knew Hillary Clinton would be exonerated before that actually happened. You are calling for James Comey to come back. You want to ask him questions.
I do. We have to talk to him. He's the central figure in the decision, number one, not to charge Secretary Clinton. I've already litigated that issue with him. I've had 3 conversations with him about that. But it is really important to understand when that decision was made. He told Johnny Ratcliffe that he didn't make it until after he emailed Hillary Clinton. It sure looks like they made it months before. And if Loretta Lynch knew there was not going to be any charges, how did she know that? Who told her?
Where are these text messages? How is this possible? You know, the president is weighing in, saying this is a huge story. Obviously, the timing of those missing text messages can possibly tell us a lot. What does it tell you?
It tells me, and I say this with a broken heart, that a law enforcement agency that I have tremendous respect for, that I worked with for 16 years, had some bad apples in really important positions of trust and responsibility, and their bias overcame their objectivity. I don't know how much damage they did. It's really not my job to prove that. That's Michael Horowitz and Jeff Sessions' job to find out how much damage these two agents and others did. But I care a lot about the Department of Justice and the FBI, and it breaks my heart that we are having to have this conversation about two agents that only wanted to get the president. They didn't have any interest in clearing him.
What about this FISA memo? Are we going to see it?
Well, I helped draft it, and I would tell my friends in the FBI, everything I got that went into that memo, I got from you. So I don't know why you need to see my memo. You got really good lawyers working for the Department of Justice. Everything that is in that memo
but why
that
not release it, though, Congressman?
Well, I drafted it for my colleagues. I didn't draft it for the FBI. The FBI can do their own memo. They got more lawyers than we have on the House Intel Committee. I drafted it for my colleagues who are not on HPSI so they could see some of the documents. And they're all classified, which is why I can't release it to the public without a vote. But for the FBI to say, we want to see your memo, when for months and months they hadn't let us see lots of stuff we wanted to see, the memo came from what you gave us, FBI. There's nothing new in there other than what you gave us and you showed us. The fact that I took the time to reduce it to a 4-page memo, you can do the same thing if you want to, and maybe we can exchange both.
I've only got a few seconds left, Congressman, but the House Intel, the Judiciary, and Oversight Committees are severing communications with the DOJ and FBI. That is a big deal.
It's also news to me. I did not know that we were severing communications with them. I know it's been a rocky relationship, but I didn't think we were severing communications.
So what is the current status between those groups?
You know what? I think at some point I would like to sit down with the Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, and Chris Wray and say, look, there are lots of former federal prosecutors in Congress who care a lot about the entities you represent. 2016 and 2017 have not been good years for the department and the FBI. So let's do the oversight. I don't want to interfere with your investigation. I have no interest in that. I support Bob Mueller. Let me say that again for my Democrat friends. But I do want to provide oversight over the world's premier law enforcement agency because they desperately need it, or else these two people would not have been involved in the Clinton and Russia investigations.
All right. There's a lot going on, clearly, and Congressman Gowdy, we really appreciate your time and weighing in on all of this. It's certainly a developing story on many fronts. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.